On December 18th, a Chinese mercenary in Russia expresses frustration with abysmal food quality, likening the meals to pig feed. This food looks just like pig feed. Are we feeding soldiers pig slop? We should take this to the UN. Even in World War II, the rations weren't this bad. Eating this every day? No way could we win a war in 20 years. The video posted on X ignited a barrage of sarcastic remarks. Cannon fodder shouldn't be choosy about food, one user quipped. Another said, didn't nationalists claim that communist troops survived on tree bark and grass roots during World War II? This is an upgrade from that. Yet another chimed in. It really looks like pig feed, but hey, having pig feed is better than nothing. A Chinese mercenary in Russia being fed pig feed highlights Russia's blatant disregard and contempt for the Chinese Communist Party. It exposes the so-called China-Russia friendship, which the CCP loves to tout as both hollow and fragile. Yet despite the CCP's relentless brainwashing, desperate individuals still flock to Russia for opportunities. The mercenary still stuck in Russia now pleads with others to think twice before following in his footsteps. Thanks everyone for your concern. I've been getting a lot of private messages asking how to get here and what the pay is like, so let me give you the lowdown today. First off, I'm not going to tell you how to get here, and honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. The language barrier is huge, and the lifestyle is totally different, leading to all sorts of headaches. Out of 10 Chinese who come here, at least 7 or 8 end up regretting it because they just can't adapt. Once you're here, there's no going back. Now about the money. Russians don't delay payments. You get your wages within a couple of days, but don't believe the hype online. The ruble's value is tanking. Right now, 1 yuan equals about 15 rubles, and it keeps falling. You're looking at a monthly salary of around 200,000 rubles, which is only about 15,000 yuan. But when you convert it back, there's a hefty fee that cuts into your earnings, leaving you with even less. Plus, you've got to cover your own food and living expenses, which adds up fast. At the end of the day, you might take home less than 10,000 yuan if you're lucky. Some folks end up with barely 4,000 or 5,000 yuan saved. If you're thinking of coming for the money, it's not worth it. You're risking your life for a paycheck that's only marginally better than back home. It's pointless. You might think I'm exaggerating, but the reality is even harsher than my words. You won't truly get it until you're here yourself. Comments flooded in below the Douyin post, with one saying, risking your life for just 10,000 yuan, empty 2 mags and call it a day. Another wrote, be careful. When you're shooting, don't stick your head out. Just empty the mag and stay alive. When the contract's up, get back to China ASAP. Someone else asked, what happens if you desert? Another commented, one of my friends might end up on the other side of you someday. Remember, Chinese don't shoot Chinese. Recent comments about Chinese users indicate a notable shift in attitude from a few months ago. Rather than risking their lives, many view joining Russia's forces as a chance to exploit the demand for manpower. There are even jests about firing weapons haphazardly to avoid exposure while still collecting pay, effectively wasting Russian ammunition to Ukraine's advantage. Some have even hinted at friends potentially joining the Ukrainian side. However, the Russians are likely aware of the limited utility of these mercenaries, which might explain why they're now fed pig feed. The mercenary in the video hesitates to articulate his regret, but it's evident that substandard food is a significant factor. Purchasing food independently is costly, further diminishing their already low earnings. As Chinese mercenaries in Russia receive pig feed for subsistence, China's largest search engine, Baidu, is simultaneously mourning a Russian war criminal killed in an explosion. Russia's radiological, chemical, and biological defense troop was killed in a Moscow explosion. After the announcement by Russia's investigative committee, Baidu promptly turned Kirillov's webpage black and white in mourning. However, due to significant backlash from internet users, the page was soon returned to color. A similar event transpired months earlier with the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Iran. Baidu temporarily switched its page to black and white, but after user mockery and criticism, the color was restored. In Chinese culture, black and white web pages signify mourning, commonly used during national days of remembrance, after disasters, or to commemorate tragic events. However, Chinese state media often displays profound grief over figures like Osama bin Laden, the founder of the terrorist group Al-Qaeda, and Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas leader. Baidu, closely aligned with CCP propaganda, promptly changes its homepage to black and white, drawing sharp criticism from more discerning Chinese internet users each time. Since 2017, Lieutenant General Kirillov has led Russia's MBC protection troops, a specialized unit with roots in the Tsarist era. Reorganized from Soviet chemical troops in 1992, this force includes multiple brigade-level units and research institutions, known for its response during the Chernobyl disaster and significant pandemics. As a senior officer who rose through the ranks of the MBC protection troops, Kirillov might have had a promising career ahead. His predecessor, General Filippov, was promoted to Deputy Minister of Defense from the same position. In 2021, Kirillov was awarded the title Hero of the Labor of the Russian Federation for his role in managing the pandemic, just 3 years after his promotion to lieutenant general. According to Chinese state broadcaster CCTV, an explosion occurred on December 17th outside a residential building in Moscow, claiming the lives of Kirillov and his aide. Russia's investigative committee has classified this incident as a terrorist attack and has begun an investigation. That same day, Ukraine's military declared on social media that the attack on Kirillov was a special operation conducted by the Ukrainian security service. It's unclear if China's largest search engine, Baidu, which mourns the Russian general, is aware that Chinese mercenaries fighting for Russia are being fed pig feed. One thing is certain, this information won't be found through a Baidu search. There are some indications that the Biden administration will soon announce the final package under the Ukrainian Security Assistance Initiative, using the remaining funds to purchase new weapons for Ukraine. According to a Reuters report on December 20th, insiders estimate the aid package to be worth approximately $1.2 billion. Another source added that the package is expected to include air defense interceptors and artillery shells. The USAI package may represent one of the last direct military aid efforts from the U.S. to Ukraine, as President-elect Donald Trump has openly questioned continuing military support. Trump has pledged to end the Ukraine war within 24 hours of taking office on January 20th. On December 19th, Russian President Vladimir Putin officially stated that he is ready to hold talks with Donald Trump regarding a resolution to the Ukraine conflict. At his annual press conference on December 17th, Putin addressed a question from an American journalist, confirming his willingness to meet with Trump, though he noted it had been years since they last spoke. Putin said, "I don't know when we will meet, because he hasn't said anything about it. I haven't spoken to him at all in over 4 years. Of course, I'm ready for this at any time, and I will be ready for a meeting if he wants it." When asked if he was prepared to compromise in any way on the Ukraine issue, Putin responded that politics is the art of compromise. He said Russia has always said that they are ready for negotiations and compromises. They are prepared, but the other side must also be ready to engage in compromise. Addressing the fate of missing American journalist Austin Tice, who was kidnapped in Syria in 2012, Putin revealed plans to discuss the matter with Syria's former president Bashar al-Assad and the country's new leadership. Tice's family has written to Putin, appealing for his assistance in locating Tice. Earlier this month, Assad fled to Moscow to escape rebel forces, marking the end of his family's half-century rule over Syria. Putin stated that he has not seen Assad since he arrived in Moscow, breaking his silence for the first time since Assad's ouster. But Putin said he intends to meet with him, as they need to have that conversation. Recent developments have left Putin facing a mix of opportunities and setbacks. The return of former U.S. President Donald Trump presents a potential ramp-off for ending the war in Ukraine. However, the sudden collapse of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad's regime has caught Putin off guard, dealing a significant blow to Russia's influence in the Middle East. The loss of such a crucial ally is pushing Putin to pursue ceasefire negotiations. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, the U.S. Department of Defense announced on December 18 that corruption within China's PLA has led to the removal of several high-ranking officials, potentially undermining Beijing's military modernization efforts. The U.S. Congress authorized an annual report on Chinese military and security developments. It stated that in 2023, the PLA experienced a new wave of corruption-related investigations and removals of senior leaders, which may have disrupted its progress towards stated 2027 modernization goals. According to the report, at least 15 senior military and defense industry officials were dismissed between July and December 2023. It further revealed that several leaders responsible for overseeing China's nuclear and conventional missile modernization programs were investigated or removed for corruption. This report is a clear embarrassment for Chinese President Xi Jinping and deals a blow to his confidence. In response, China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs swiftly condemned the findings on December 19th, dismissing the report as biased and misleading. When asked about the report during a press briefing, Foreign Minister spokesperson Lin Jian said it was nothing more than an excuse to maintain U.S. military hegemony. As Trump's return to the White House approaches, Washington's previously ambiguous stance on China appears to be shifting. The Biden administration's approach towards Xi Jinping has become noticeably less accommodating. Turning to Xi Jinping, the Chinese leader most invested in prolonging the Russia-Ukraine war, his recent activities have also drawn attention. On December 18, Xi arrived in Macau for a 3-day visit, accompanied by his wife, Peng Liyuan. State broadcaster CCTV released footage showing Xi and Peng disembarking from their plane, greeted by a group of Macau elementary school students presenting flowers. However, some social media users comparing CCTV's footage with international media coverage noticed something peculiar. A few seconds of the video had been edited out by CCTV. The missing segment, Peng Liyuan was caught quietly telling Xi to slow down as he was preparing to descend the stairs, steadying him by the arm. CCTV's subtle edit did not go unnoticed. Social media users speculated that the broadcaster deliberately cut the scene to conceal concerns about Xi's health. However, the attempt at secrecy only fueled further speculation. They pointed out that CCTV's editing wasn't thorough. Peng Liyuan's words were cut, but another slip was left behind. As Xi and Peng reached the bottom of the stairs, a young Macau student approached to present a bouquet. After Xi received the flowers, the girl extended her right hand for a handshake. She appeared slow to react, leaving the child waiting awkwardly until she raised her hand again, prompting Xi to quickly free his right hand to shake hers. One user commented, "How could he forget something that was clearly rehearsed?" Another user wondered how many more bloopers from Xi Jinping's visit would keep CCTV busy with edits. One person commented that Xi's health is failing. As they disembarked, Peng Liyuan used her right arm to hold him up, afraid he might fall. Another person noted that Xi's movements were rigid, his smile forced, and the entire ceremony felt lifeless, a reflection of the CCP's current state, holding on despite being on the brink of collapse. 2 months ago, the idea that the Assad family might not make it to Christmas would have been dismissed as naive. Yet a relatively weak militia in northern Syria managed to topple the Assad regime, which had ruled for half a century and crushed domestic uprisings for nearly a decade in just 2 weeks. The unexpected fall of Assad's regime not only shook Putin, but also made Xi Jinping increasingly anxious. Assad's troubles are a reflection of the current challenges Xi faces. The maintenance and collapse of regimes often follow an asymmetrical pattern. Building takes years, but destruction can occur in seconds. The hidden dangers that led to Syria's collapse share too many similarities with the current political situation in China. As senior military officials are arrested, morale in the Chinese armed forces weakens, and the economy nosedives. Xi seems to be walking down the same unstable path Assad recently traversed. One internet user said, "Why doesn't Xi take Trump's invitation to the inauguration, bring his family, and stay in the U.S. indefinitely? Mar-a-Lago is large enough to accommodate both families." Meanwhile, the pig feed served to Chinese mercenaries in Russia might be Putin's way of venting frustration over not receiving an invitation to Trump's inauguration. Perhaps it's his subtle jab at both Trump and Xi. For teammates who are pigs, only pig feed will do.